And hello, Leo, and Holvin and Incon. Leo, did you get my email? I should say my reply. No. Oh. Well, I did reply to your email. And hello, SRK and Alex. Fayez, hello. Sarah, hello. It's really, really good to see people from Iran in my streams again after such a long time of not seeing you in my streams and being worried about you. And how do you pronounce those in British versus American English? HK. I can't tell you that. There are too many to tell. HK. If you do a search online, there are many websites that will tell you the differences between British English and American English. But there are many. There are pronunciation differences. There are vocabulary differences. There are grammar differences. Okay, there are too many. I can't tell you all of them, but there are websites that do. Okay? You mean the word those, just the word those. Oh, just that word. Well, in American English, it's those. British English, I think, it would be those. It's more of an O. They have a slightly different O sound than we do. But my O is not that different than theirs. I deliberately clarify my O a little more than most, so it almost sounds British to some people. Good morning, Fluke. And hello, Boss, and Rena, hello. Hello, Flavia. Yesterday you did 10 quizzes from English.club and you got scores from 60% to 100%. Okay, but see, it's not, the scores are not what's so important right now, okay? The scores that you take, let's put it this way. I want you to consider those not to be quizzes. I want you just to consider those to be practice. That's it. It's a form of practice. And the first time you did it, you got 60%. All right, so then do it again next week and see if you get 70%. And do it again the week after and see if you get 80%. All right, so they're not really quizzes. They're practice methods for you to improve your ability. Okay? And they're a better way for you to spend more time with the language. Oh no, the replays of my live stream from the last 2 days were black from the beginning to the end. You've already written feedback to Hello Talk. Gee, I wonder why. I wonder if it's because of my new software camera program. I don't think so, but maybe. Could be because I'm using this new software program. But that would mean that all of them would be black, and I don't think they were. So that's weird. But thank you for writing to Hello Talk. I will also send them a message. Can I pronounce your name? I already did. I said your name. It's Boss. It's a strange name to choose. But okay. I said it. Oh, is it a Z sound or an S sound? That's your question between those in English and those in... I think it's an S in both. I think it's an S in both. Those. But when we say it quickly, it feels almost more like a Z. Move those books. Right? When you say it very quickly, it sounds more and feels more like a Z. But if you say it slowly, those, that's an S. Right? So say it quickly with a Z, say it slowly with an S. Fayez, the best way to learn vocabulary is to read my article about vocabulary, which is... Let me get that for you. There it is. I wrote this article about the best ways to learn vocabulary. Can you read that? You have to copy that and paste it into your browser. You can't just click it. If you copy it and paste it, it should open. You're welcome. You like the RuPaul show? Yeah, RuPaul's an interesting character. At this point, I'm kind of tired of the show, but that's only because any show that goes that long, eventually you're just like, okay, I'm over it. But I give him credit that he brought that to popularity, and nobody ever thought that would happen. So, yeah, interesting character. Hello, Evelyn. Tell you the fastest ways to learn English. What should we do every day to improve more quickly? So, Pani, I think you are new. Are you new? Yes, okay. I know you are new because your question is one that many people ask me, but I always have the same kind of an answer. Learning is not about getting to the top of the mountain quicker. Learning is about knowing the mountain. So when you're in school, they teach you that learning is about getting to the top of the mountain the fastest. Like, who can get to the top of the mountain the fastest? That's what they teach you in school. But that's not what learning is supposed to be. Learning is supposed to be about learning the mountain itself, knowing the mountain. And that's not something that you worry about how long it takes, right? So here's what I want you to understand, Pani. Learning is not an act of efficiency. Learning is an act of proficiency. So efficiency means how quickly can I do it and how little energy can I use, right? What's the least amount of energy that I can use and the least amount of time? That's efficiency. Proficiency is just, do I know it well? So it's the difference between somebody who got to the top of the mountain quickly and the guy who is a mountain guide. The guy who is the guide for the mountain, he knows that mountain. He's been up and down that mountain a million times, every single side of that mountain. He knows every little bit about that mountain. That's the guide. The other guy is just somebody who's gotten to the top quickly. Okay? But the person who gets to the top quickly, that is not the person you would want guiding you. Understand? So, adjust the way you think about learning. That's an important part, is adjust the way you think about learning. Learning a language is more like learning a musical instrument. So when you learn the piano, you're never finished learning the piano. If you play the violin, you're never finished learning the violin. If you play the saxophone, you're never finished learning the saxophone. So it's kind of weird that everyone knows that you cannot finish learning a musical instrument. But for some reason, people have some idea that you can finish learning a language. You can't. So if you can't finish learning a language, then how can you get there faster? Right? So now, that's not to say that there are some methods that work better and some methods that work worse, right? There are some methods that are better, some methods are worse. Memorizing is not a method I would use. I never memorize anything if I can avoid it. Okay? Because the reason why is very, very simple. This is about neurology. Your brain doesn't like memorization. Why is that true? Why doesn't your brain like memorizing? Can you tell me? Why does your brain not like memorizing? You can finish learning instruments. No, you can't. No, you cannot. I am a professional drummer. I have been playing the drums for more than 35 years. And I can tell you that I'm not even close to finished. You cannot finish an instrument. You said basic skills. That's not finished. No. You cannot finish a musical instrument. I'm a professional musician. Trust me. So the reason why memorization is not the technique that I use is that's correct. Your brain doesn't like memorizing because memorizing is very, very boring. Memorizing is very, very boring. Okay? Your brain doesn't like boring. It's very simple. That's why you forget it all the time. Okay? So you have to find ways to make your brain engage with the information more in a more interesting way. All right? So for example, if you're doing vocabulary, reading is always great because reading involves your imagination and your creativity. You have to read the words and see the words, imagine the picture that they're creating with the sentences. That's context. So reading is contextual learning. Okay? Reading is contextual learning. All right? So also using a thesaurus, because a thesaurus will show you the words that you already know and show you new words that you didn't know. So they're connected to words that you did know. That makes it easier and more interesting. Learning by topic. When you learn by topic, if you learn all the words that are about sports, then that's connected and it's a topic. It's a web, so it's more interesting. If you learn about their etymology, the history, where does the word come from and how has it changed over time? What was its original meaning? Why is it pronounced that way? That's interesting. You'll remember. Okay? You're saying mastering is different. I disagree. I disagree. I'm sorry, but learning a musical instrument and learning a language are exactly the same thing. You can never master a musical instrument completely. You're never finished. Yo-Yo Ma is the greatest cellist in the world, and Yo-Yo Ma wakes up every day working on his instrument. And Yo-Yo Ma would be the first one to tell you, there's no way I'm ever going to finish this. I'll never be done. All right? When you're able to live stream like me, you'll think you have finished learning English. Okay, well, that's a good goal. That's a goal. It's good to have goals. You know, if you think about that goal and that helps you, then that's good. Right? That is a good logical goal. If I can do a performative live stream like you freely using English, then that feels like success to you, then that's great. Then use that to imagine your goal. All right? Why do I argue about things like whether you can learn, whether you can finish or not? I'll tell you why. Because too many of you spend too much time thinking about when you can be done. No musician thinks about that. That's my point. My point is that when you learn a musical instrument, nobody is thinking about the end point because that doesn't exist. Nobody is thinking, oh, well, I'm going to be done next year. I'll be done with piano next year. Yay. Nobody ever imagines that. But you do that with language all the time. You think, oh, I'm going to be fluent next year. I want to be fluent in 1 year. So you're imagining some sort of an end point to your studying, an end point to your learning. And that is what I'm trying to tell you is a myth. That's a mirage. It's a delusion. I want you to create a learning style and a learning plan for yourself about language, about English, that makes learning part of your lifestyle, daily lifestyle, and that it creates a feeling of progress because learning becomes part of your daily life. And then you worry less about, am I there yet? And just more about, this feels good, I'm learning. Progress feels better than completion many, many times. Okay, in my life, I usually find that the feeling of progress is actually often better than the feeling of completion. Okay? How do you balance life, study, and hobbies? Susu wants to know, how do I balance life, study, and hobbies? I love my hobbies very much, but I don't want to miss anything in class, and I do spend a lot of time watching the replay. Okay, so, Susu, as far as anything goes with the stuff involving my streams and replays and whatever, take your time. Take your time. Susu, I want you to think about it more like when you go to the museum. If you go to the museum to appreciate art, once again, if you're thinking about how quickly you can get through, then you're not doing it well. Right? So going to the art museum is a perfect example of something that shouldn't be done more quickly. You should take your time and enjoy it. Right? appreciate each piece of art. Take the time to appreciate what you're doing. That's my point. Okay, so when it comes to your work or this kind of things, the work that seems to be passionate for you, do it, but take your time doing it so that you can appreciate it properly, right? Don't rush through it. If you read Moby Dick or War and Peace in 1 or 2 days, that's not an accomplishment because you rushed through it. You didn't take the time to appreciate its value, right? If you walk through a museum in 10 minutes, that's not valuable because you didn't take the time to appreciate the things that are there, right? You didn't appreciate what you were doing at the time. So slow down with the work and appreciate it. Slow down. Don't be so worried about being fast. Take the time to appreciate the work as you do it, right? Think about it more like, Da Vinci. I don't think Da Vinci considered how long it takes to finish. He just considered what do I need to do to finish, right? And whatever that is, that's fine, right? So if I need to take the time to do it a month more, that's fine. I'll do that. Like, that's how artists sometimes are. They look at the piece of art and they let the art tell them how long it should take, right? The artist doesn't tell the piece of art how long it takes. The art tells the artist how long it takes. All right? And then balancing things like life, study, and hobbies. I think that sometimes there's too much concern about this. Certainly, you need to have some sense of normalcy in your life, that things are not constantly like this all the time, right? So you do have to find a way to curve it to be slightly more stable, right? But life has ebbs and flows, ups and downs. Life has ups and downs. So there will be some days when you're more efficiently working on your work or diligently working on your work, and there'll be some days when you're more distracted by your hobbies. Sometimes human creativity is like a wild horse and it's hard to control it. It's a little bit difficult to control, especially for certain people, right? Not everybody, but there are certain people who have a greater difficulty controlling their creative impulses. But you just have to try to imagine it like taming a wild horse. It takes a lot of courage and bravery, and it's a very difficult thing because the passion of a horse is a very wild thing and it wants to be wild. So your curiosity and your impulses can be the same way. Your impulses can feel like a wild horse that's difficult to control. But people learn how to tame horses, and you have to learn how to tame your horses. Okay? All right. False. I am a successful lawyer who hates their job. What did I say that was related to that? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what I said. that's related to that, but okay. I'm sorry you hate your job. Does the accent of a learner really matter to native speakers? I'm scared of mispronouncing. Fayez, no, it doesn't. Okay, I'll say this explanation one more time because people seem to like this explanation. So, Fayez, your accent is like this. These are crayons. Crayons are for coloring. And look how many beautiful colors there are, right? So the colors of the crayons, that's like your accents. There are beautiful colors in the world called accents. And right now you are talking about changing from one color to another color. So you are using the orange color, you're using this orange one, but you're in the middle of using it and you decide you want to change to another one because you can't use this one. So why can't you use this one? Because this one's not sharp, right? So you have an orange crayon, but your orange crayon is not sharp, okay? And if it's not sharp, then you cannot write your name clearly. Okay, you can't draw clearly, right? So then now you have a choice. What should you do? Should you change crayons or should you sharpen your crayon? Sharpen your crayon. Sharpen it, everyone. Okay, you don't need to change your accent, but you do need to make it very clear. So sharpen it until it's clear. Just keep that color. Okay? Let's see. Hello, Alejandra. Why do Chinese people call Americans the beautiful people in Chinese, Megor? And well, customer service Joy, that's because for some reason Chinese people called America beautiful country. That's what it means. Meiguo is Mei is beautiful in Guo's country, right? So it is a beautiful country, but I mean, every country is a beautiful country, really, in some way, right? But that's the only reason why is because Chinese people called America a beautiful country. So that means the people of that country are now beautiful country people. All right? Oh, you were replying to someone who said you love what you do, but you need to love what you do to be successful in something. Yeah, right. No, you don't need to love what you do to be successful. I think most of the people I know who are successful don't necessarily love what they do. Loving what you do is a very different thing than just being good at it. Loving what you do is very different than just being good at it. Hello, Bacon. What's up, man? Well, I was able to answer that question about Chinese people. How can a person, Soraya wants to know, how can a person get confidence speaking the language? Soraya, how do you get confidence? How does anyone get confidence? How do you get confidence? Anybody have any ideas? Confidence comes with experience. You can't have confidence if you don't have experience. That's why you'll never see a confident baby. Babies don't have experience. So because a baby has no experience, it cannot be confident. Right? So, how do you get experience? You have to do something. Okay? So, in my mind, I always try to imagine fixing a car engine. Okay? Fixing a car engine. Listen. You have the car, it's parked, and you have the hood open, and you're thinking about, can I fix this engine? I don't know if I can fix this engine. I don't know if I can. That's called doubt. Okay? And everybody has doubt. All normal people have doubt. Okay? But then you say, well, I'm going to try. I'm going to try to do it. Okay? And you sit there and maybe you study and you learn and you read some books. You look at the manual and you try to figure out, you watch a YouTube video and you try to figure out what to do, right? And you say, okay, I'm going to try to do it. But sometimes when you try, you fail. That is life. Sometimes when you try, you fail. And then you have to look at it and say, do I try again or do I let somebody else try? Right? Now, this is just a metaphor for learning. This is not what you should really do with your car. All right? But the point is that if you try to do something, you might fail, and then you learn from what you failed, and you get experience. And that does give you some confidence because now you know that you shouldn't do that again. That's confidence. When you know you shouldn't do something, that's still confidence, right? Then you try again. And maybe you're successful this time. Ah, you fixed it. Wunderbar. That means wonderful in German. Eureka. That means amazing. Right? You fixed it. And now, when you fix something, you feel good. For a minute, you feel really good. Like, look at that, I did it. I did it. And that feeling is called confidence. So, if you want confidence, you have to try to do something. And then when you try, sometimes you might fail, but you try again, and sometimes you are successful. And when you are successful, you get this boost of energy. And that energy is this ball that we call confidence. And now you can take that energy and fuel yourself with that energy to do something else. So, confidence begets confidence. That means confidence will give you more confidence. Okay? If you can do one thing, then you say, oh, look, I can do something amazing. I can. So, if I can do that, maybe I can do something else. All right? So, confidence comes from experience, and experience comes in two flavors. Success and failure. But you can learn from both. Failure is not always this thing that you should run away from. Failure in learning is just another way to learn. Okay? And this is why I say learning is like what a scientist does with experiments. When a scientist does experiments, they have an idea and they want to test their idea. So they do an experiment. And sometimes when they do their experiment, it's successful. Okay. But if it's successful, then that tells them what they already know. It tells them what they already know, so they don't really learn that much. But if it's a failure, if their experiment is a failure, oh wow, why did it fail? I can learn from that. So like a scientist, when you're learning, you should think about that your mistakes are more like making a mistake, or I should say a failure in a scientific experiment. Because when a failure happens in a scientific experiment, you can learn from it. So we don't run away from scientific failures. We embrace them. We say, that's great. I can learn from that. Okay? So in an experiment, successes don't teach you that much. Failures do. So in learning, successes don't teach you that much. Failures do. Okay? All right. Please be patient. Ah, yeah, that's right. Schwarzenegger. Look at Arnold Schwarzenegger. Look at that. I mean, granted, he's a movie star. That's what everybody's going to say. So, but he's a movie star. He's a movie star. That guy became a governor and an actor. And they told him in the beginning, there were many people who said he would never be a famous actor because of his accent. And they were proven wrong precisely because of his accent. He became famous because of his accent. If Arnold sounded just like me, they wouldn't have picked him. Because that's not very exotic. Yeah. Thank you, Vicky. Let's see. How can we learn connected speech or linking? Draven Vale, the easiest way to learn connected speech in English, and in most languages really, but especially in English, it's actually kind of easy. All you have to do is sing. So, Draven, can you sing? Singing is a funny thing. When you sing, you take one breath and then you sing an entire line of words. And when you do that, it naturally connects your speech. So if you just choose a simple song like, right, watch me, I'm going to take one breath and I'm just going to sing a children's song, right? Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. You see how I have one breath, but it's row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. All nice and flowing and connected. All right, so that's a really great way to practice connected speech. No, I am not Italian. I am from the United States. Why would you think I'm Italian when I'm speaking English? Okay, let's see. I'm drinking iced coffee. Thank you, Kate. Hello, Carlos. Hello, Waleed. Confidence comes from experience. Just think about when you learned how to ride a bicycle? Most people know how to ride a bicycle. And most people, when they began, not most people, all people, everyone, when they started riding a bicycle, they were not confident. They were nervous. And how did they become confident? By doing those experiments that I was talking about. You ride the bike, and sometimes you're successful, and sometimes you fall. But you keep doing it, and you keep learning. I have to go faster. If I don't go fast enough, then I will fall. I have to go faster. I learned that now. I have to pedal the wheels so that they go faster, and if I don't pedal enough, then I will fall. Momentum and gravity. It's a physics class when you ride a bicycle. Okay? So, but you keep learning little things about what you need to do in order to ride well. And that is the process of learning confidence through experience. Okay? How do we get experience if we're not confident? This is like a chicken or the egg problem. No, it's not, Magdalena. It's like a stage fright problem. Every musician that you have ever known, every famous person who sings on stage, they were scared at one point in time. They had stage fright. Okay, stage fright. It's something almost every performer feels some stage fright in the beginning when they're younger, when they first get on stage. And how do we get through that? We keep getting on stage. You have to go through it. So, Magdalena, this is why I always repeat the same phrase over and over again from Rumi. Rumi, my favorite quote from Rumi, and he says, all of your anxiety comes from seeking harmony. Seek disharmony and you will find peace. All of your anxiety comes from seeking harmony. Seek disharmony and you will find peace. So what that means is, if you're afraid on stage, when you're on stage, if you feel afraid, then what you need to do is keep getting on stage. You have to go toward the thing that you are afraid of. Don't run away from it. Go toward it. Go through it. Okay? So you get on stage again, and you're scared again, but not as badly. And you get on stage again, and you're scared again, but not as badly. So each time you get on stage, your anxiety and your fear lessens, and your confidence and your pride gains, rises. Okay? That's right. All of your anxiety comes from seeking harmony. Seek disharmony and you will gain peace. That's right. Yeah. It's one of my favorite quotes. Love that dude. Okay, let's see. Okay, so Waleed, a hat trick. I don't really know what it really is, and the reason why I don't know what a hat trick is because the word hat trick is actually from cricket. It's a word from the game of cricket. So you'd have to ask somebody from the UK what it really means. It says here it means the term originated in cricket in 1858 when English bowler H.H. Stevenson took 3 wickets with 3 consecutive deliveries. Wow. I don't know what that means, but wow. To celebrate the rare feat, fans held an impromptu collection and presented him with a hat bought with the proceeds. So, yeah, the guy had some great game, and they gave him a hat as a prize. And that's why they say it's a hat trick. That's actually a really boring story. That is not a very interesting story. That's kind of a letdown. Yeah. All right, let's see. Did I miss anyone's comment or question? Would I mind pronouncing his name again? You mean Rumi? I believe it's pronounced Rumi. I'm not certain of that, but that's what I've heard. Although the other word, the other name for him that I've heard in Persian is Molana or Molana. I'm not sure which one you accent. Let's see. Hello, Grey Wolf. You have a question to ask me how to make pronunciation. I think you want to ask is how to improve your pronunciation, Grey Wolf. So, Grey Wolf, if you want to improve your pronunciation, you need to work on your vowels and your consonants, and you need to open your mouth more. All right? So, Grey Wolf, in Chinese, there's a poem. You know, remember the poem? Right? Right? The one with all the all the sh sound poems, right? That one. So that's called a tongue twister. And in English, we have a lot of these tongue twisters also. And so if you want to work on your English pronunciation, one of the best ways is to practice tongue twisters. Okay? And you can just do a search. Search online and you can find a big long list of tongue twisters. Okay? All right, please be patient. There are many questions and I'm trying to get to all of them. Yes, I'll be back. Hasta la vista, baby. Because of my eyes? You think I'm Italian because of my eyes? No. When the moon hits the eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore. That's as Italian as I am. Let's see. Bacon, you're funny. Am I from New York? Technically, yes, I am. That's right. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Nightmare. We need to adjust those words a little bit for the modern era. I like to solve mathematics questions because it makes me have confidence if I had solved it, especially if it was hard. Ah, right. So Rena's saying that she likes to solve math problems because she gets confidence when she solves a problem. And when you get confidence, that makes you want to do more, right? That's part of learning too. That's one of the beauties of learning is that as you learn, you get this boost of this wonderful feeling of confidence, like, oh, wow, look, I can do it. I can do it. That feels good. And that makes you want to do more. It's like a drug. 3 goals of the match, but does it have origin in Greek mythology? Waleed, I don't know. I don't think so, but I don't know. Why don't you find out for me? How about you come teach me what hat trick means? How's that? Okay, everyone, if you are new, hello. I am not new. My name is Teacher Mark. I have been here on this app for 13 years, almost. And I have been streaming for about 4 years, 4.5 years. 4.5 years. And I have about 90,000 followers on this app. And they follow me because I do teach English. But I am here every day, Monday through Friday, and I have done this hundreds of times. So if you are new, the best thing that you can do is just listen for a little while, okay? Don't ask questions like, how can I learn English? Because I get that question every day. All right? I have done this a lot. It's better if you just sit and listen for a little bit. All right? Just listen for a little bit and then you'll see what we do here. But I also have something for you. If you want to know more about me and you want to know my schedule, like what time is this guy here? When is this guy here? And who is this guy? Then you can get that information here. Everything you need to know about me is in that file right there. That is my PDF file. If you copy that and paste it to your browser, you can read that and it will tell you my schedule. It will tell you my YouTube channel and my website and my blog. And there is a lot of other great information in there for you too. Please read it. Sudi Ka. You're tired of listening constantly. So I guess you're trying to tell me that I talk too much. There are other live streams, Sudi. There are other live streams on Hello Talk. Nobody is making you stay here. Okay, let's see. What's the best way to pronounce? So that word has two pronunciations that are both acceptable. Root and route, right? And I'm telling you that I have heard both throughout my entire life, all right? What route did you take to get here? Oh, what route did you take? Take Route 4. Make sure you take Route 22. Oh, don't take Route 4. Don't go on Route 2. Route 66, they say. When they sing the song, they say Route 66. They don't say Route 66. They say Route 66. But we have a road right down near me that's Route 50. So, route and route are both fine. Okay? All right. Let's see. Okay, again, there is a reason why 90,000 people follow me, and if you can just be patient, you'll see why. All right? I have a website, and on my website, I have everything that you need to study English for free. Hundreds of other websites that you can go to. Well, maybe not hundreds, dozens of other websites that you can go to and look and see and study reading English and improve your writing of English and improve your listening of English and work on your speaking and your grammar and your vocabulary and your pronunciation and your IELTS and TOEFL. It's all on my website. And I have a blog. And on my blog, I've written articles that are for you. I have been teaching English since 2009, and I have been teaching since 1994. If you can just be patient, you will hear some things that will help you. Okay? And yes, John Frank, you can join. Raise your hand, John Frank, and I will help John. John Frank is a regular listener. John Frank has been watching me for years. So I will help Jean-Franc for a few minutes. Let me just make sure I didn't miss anything else very quickly. Okay. Sudika, you were not talking to me. I apologize for assuming you were talking to me. Sometimes it's hard to know who's talking to who, right? Or, right, whom. So you said we need to listen while we get improved. I said I'm tired of listening. I did not get improvement. I'm not sure when I said that exactly, but Sudi, what I tell people, one moment, Jean-Franc, I'll get to you, just one second. What I tell people, Sudi, is that language is like a table. And this table has 8 legs, okay? And those 8 legs are reading, writing, listening, speaking, thinking, grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation. So when you make a plan for studying and practicing English, you need to think about these 8 legs and try to balance them, right? You don't want a table that's like this, right? Where your speaking is really good, but your writing is really bad, right? So you're trying to balance the table. And then you have to understand that there are 3 parts of the table that are passive and 8 parts that are active. So the 3 parts that are passive are grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation. So that means that you have to learn those things. You have to learn some grammar, the rules of language, so that you can understand how to use it well. You have to learn some vocabulary in English so that you can learn how to use it well. And you have to learn some pronunciation rules and mouth positions so that you can use them well, right? So those are the passive parts that you have to do. The active parts are reading, writing, listening, speaking, and thinking. And thinking is the one that nobody talks about, and it's the most important one. 50% of your practice should be thinking practice. Thinking is how you prepare yourself for speaking. So everybody comes here, and I have answered this question 1,000 times. People say, when people speak to me, I can't speak. I don't know what to say. I don't know why, but when they speak to me, I can't speak. And it's because I know why. It's because you never, ever, ever, ever think in English. And because you never, ever think in English, you're not ready. Your English is not ready. So when someone speaks to you, you can't speak back. So that's why thinking practice has to be 50% of your practice. Learn how to think in the language that you want to use. Don't translate. So when you're hungry, think, I'm hungry in English. When you're tired, think, I'm tired in English. That's not hard. You don't need to translate that. Start thinking those things directly. Okay? All right. Jean-Franc, where are you? There you are. Let's talk to Jean-Franc. And I am going to talk to some people today just so they can stop bothering me.
Yo,
Hello, Jean-Franc. How are
see
you?
you. I'm fine. I'm doing well.
Good.
Glad to see you.
Good to see you too.
Today I have some idioms that we can talk about.
Great. Hit me.
Because I've been watching job interview, like the dialogues that are used in job interviews,
Mm-hmm.
and I noticed that even in job interviews, idioms are used.
Sure, absolutely. Tons of
Yeah,
them. Yeah.
one of them that caught my attention is at the beginning of the video, the interviewer asked, like, are you flexible? Are you comfortable to wearing multiple hats?
Mm-hmm. That's
And
right. Yeah.
because you are the right person to know where is the origin of that idiom. But I do a little research and I realized that I mean, it means that if you are able to take on different responsibilities, right?
Yeah, that one's a simple one. Like the policeman has a policeman's hat, a fireman has a fireman's hat, right? So they each have different hats, like a different job. So when you say, can you take on different hats, it means at this job, if I make you do this position, can you do that? But I might also need you to do this position. Can you do that? Right? So it means taking on different roles or different responsibilities at that job.
Yeah, of course. But why do they? I mean, why? I want to understand what was the origin? What do they use multiple hats? It's is it related to what you just said?
Yeah,
Like
it's just the
you know,
uniforms.
a policeman has
Yeah,
a hat,
uniforms.
a fireman.
Yeah, that's it. It's just uniforms. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just uniforms. Yeah, that's just an obvious way of saying many, many jobs you have a special hat, right? So it's just saying, okay, multiple hats. It's like multiple responsibilities or jobs or duties. Yeah. Okay.
Another one that I learned. Another one that I learned. It was very, again, the interviewer asked the possible employee, are you good at putting out fires? If that was good at putting out, it's like in, you know, when there is an urgency, an unexpected problem in the company, if you are the person to solve that problem, you know?
That's
When
exactly
things
right.
get wrong,
Yeah. A fire is a problem. A fire is a problem. So we need somebody who can put out that fire. That's it. Yeah. Are you good at putting out fires means if we have a problem, can you fix it? Are you a problem solver or a problem starter? Right? That's what we want is a problem solver. Yeah, so you have to put out the fires. That's right. There's lots of them that come up in idiom or in job interviews. But see, this is smart. What you're doing is you're choosing a context and then trying to learn the vocabulary that fits that context. That's topical learning. So that's why this is useful because now the idioms that you're learning are connected to your imagination. And you're thinking about a job interview and how they're going to say that to you and what it means. That's good learning.
There was something that I couldn't understand really well. It was the phrase red tape. Red tape.
Red tape.
Like,
Yeah, red tape. And John Frank, when I answer, I'm going to mute you just because I don't want the.
oh, yeah, no worries.
Yeah. So, red tape means it means bureaucracy or it means a bunch of regulations and rules and paperwork and things that you have to do, right? So what that means is a long time ago, when you wanted to start a business, you just started a business, right? If you want to sell some watermelons, you have watermelons, you sell them. That's it. That's the end of the business. That's all there is to it. But today, if you want to start a business, no, you have to go to the town hall and you have to get the paperwork to get a permit, right? You have to get permission to have the stand there so that you can sell it on the street. That's red tape. So, and why is it red tape specifically? Let's see. Red tape etymology. I think I remember why, but I just want to confirm. That's right. I remember right. Yeah, that's right. Okay. So this one is funny. This origin goes way back before offices and bureaucracies and things. It goes all the way back to Henry VIII, the King Henry VIII in England. And Henry VIII, he was the one he married this woman, but he wanted an annulment. He wanted the Pope to say, your marriage to this woman is not real. It's over. So now you can marry this new woman. And the Pope said no. The Pope said, no, you can't do that. And so that's when Henry V So let's see. Where was it? He sent 80 petitions. So he sent 80 different petitions from people around the kingdom to the Pope, begging the Pope to give him an annulment to Catherine of Aragon. And each one of these petitions had a red ribbon. They were tied with a red ribbon. That's where we get the red tape from. Is from that. All the way back to Henry VIII. Yeah. So he started the Church of England because he couldn't get a divorce from this woman. The Pope would not agree to give him a divorce, so he said, "Oh, well then I quit being Catholic. I don't want to be Catholic anymore. I'll start my own church, and it's called the Church of England, and I'm the Pope of the Church of England." And so then now I can marry anybody I want to. So that's what he did. Yeah. That's red tape. So all of the official statements a long time ago, official documents, all had red ribbons around them. Any official document of government, from the king or some bureaucratic document, they all had red ribbons on them.
Only the interviewer was asking, like, if you are flexible with following certain rules.
Flexible with following certain rules, sure, right?
Yeah. What was the word that you used? Because it's similar in Spanish. Bureaucracy. Bureaucracy.
Bureaucracy. It's actually a French word originally. Yeah.
In Spanish, it's burocracia.
Yeah, burocracia. That's right. Yeah, that's right. Which again, it's from Latin originally. Bureaucracy. Let's see. Let me see. B-U-R. Why can't I find it? Oh, there it is. It means government by desk. The word bureaucracy comes from the word bureau. That's right, it's French. The word bureau in French means a desk, and we still use that word in English. Like, if you're buying some furniture, maybe you want a really, really nice desk, right? Sometimes they call that a bureau, and they'll say, "Oh, look at that nice bureau, that nice wooden bureau," right? It's a desk. So bureaucracy means, the other part of the word, the kresi part, comes from the Greek word kratos, which means power or ruling or political power, political rule, right? So together the word means power by the desk or government by the desk.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, Mar, I have to go. It really was a pleasure
Yeah.
to talk to you.
Always a pleasure, Jean-Frank. Always a pleasure, my friend.
Learn new things. So
All right.
Thank you so much. I'm going to go to work.
All right. Well, good luck. Have a good day at work, my friend. All right. Take
You too.
care. Bye-bye,
Take
my
care.
friend. Bye. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Please be patient. I'm going to go back and see if there was anything I missed. Nermal. Nermal, I think you need to spend more time on my website, Nermal. You keep coming to ask me about links, but all of the links are on my website. Everything that I use is on my website, so you only need one link. Mine. And then you can go to my website and find all of the things that you need there. Okay? So my link is right here. All right, if you go to my website and you subscribe, it's free, but you can just subscribe with your email. Then you can click on resources and you will find everything you need there for listening, reading, writing, speaking, grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, everything is there. Okay? All right, let's see. Yusuf says, I have a question. I've been thinking in English for a while, but in fragments, I suddenly think of individual words rather than full sentences. That's okay, Yusuf. I think that's okay. Or it happens to me too, where maybe I'm thinking in Chinese, but there's one word or a couple of words that I don't know or I can't remember in Chinese. So then I'll use the English word just for that word, right? And it's kind of weird to do, but that's okay. I think just try to ride through it. Just try to push through it, right? So if you have to use a fragment of Arabic mixed in with your English, that's okay for right now. But try to write those down so that you can note what are they, what is the correct way to do it in English, and then try to remember that that's one to practice, right? Because you forgot it when you were speaking. Okay? All right. Hello, Mark. Welcome. You just want to talk to me now. Ha ha ha. Okay, but Mark, do you know who I am? Do you know what we're doing, Mark? Do you know that there are 120 people here? 120 people are watching right now, and they expect me to teach. So you can talk to me, but as long as you have to have a question or you have to have a topic. Okay, that's my only main rule is if you want to come on my stage, you must have a question for me about English or something interesting, but not controversial. Or you have to have some sort of a topic that you want to talk about, okay? Because my audience has an expectation of learning. Okay, so Mark says he has a question, so let's see what Mark's question is.
Hi, can you see me?
Can
you see me?
I can hear you, but I cannot see you.
Okay, just give me 1 minute.
Okay.
Let me turn on the light because right now it's
Yes, sure. Yeah, it's nighttime. It's nighttime there. I know.
yeah. It's
Yeah, I can see that it's dark there. That's what I can see now.
right now it's okay because it seems I cannot find my T-shirt.
Okay, it's okay.
I'm lying on the bed.
All right, that's okay. Don't worry about it. You can just turn off the camera if you want and just speak in the dark. That's fine.
Yeah, I do have one question.
Okay.
Actually, I've been learning English and speaking English for more than 10 years, almost maybe 15 years.
Okay.
But right now, also at the same time, I also learn French and speak French.
Oh, wow.
And but I think that when you learn it, speak another language, and that language will be impacting your English. I don't know how to deal with this problem.
Impacting how?
Like the pronunciation. Let's say, I think I speak English better like 10 years ago, I speak English better. When it was 10 years ago. Right now, as long as I speak French and I see some French movie or read some French article news, I think my English is going down.
Okay.
So I don't.
So here's what I would tell you. Okay, I'll give you a few things. For one, you sound great.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You sound great. I can tell you're thinking in English. You're speaking freely. You have an accent, but it's a very clear accent, so I don't want you to lose it. As a matter of fact, you are worried about your accent because you think that your accent might be changing because you're studying French, and maybe it's affecting your English and your vocabulary, maybe too, a little bit. But here's what I will tell you. First of all, a lot of English derives from French. Between 30% and 50% of English words come from French. Okay? 30% is what I say, but there are some people who say up to 50%. And accents are interesting. Accents are unique. Accents are special. Accents are like a special color. All right? Now, if you are a Chinese man and you speak English pretty well, which you do, and you speak French pretty well, which I trust you do, if you have a new accent, if your French influences your English accent a little bit, it's not going to make your English so terrible that people can't understand you, right?
Actually, the thing is that I help my company the communication with the Westerner, with an American, with the European people. People around me consider me as because in the past I always consider myself as a linguist, and people around me always treating me as a my man because I got a very good English ability. But when it comes to the translation, the online meetings with American company or the European company, I sometimes make some mistakes. So people, maybe some people around me don't trust me that I have the ability. So I do have the ability.
Okay, wait. Like what what kind of mistakes? So you're saying that when you have business meetings, maybe sometimes you have to do things and you translate things improperly and they don't trust you now because of that?
I can make myself understood. I can make my boss, my colleague understood. They think that I make some silly mistake, like the grammar error, or maybe some pronunciation is not clearly as things like that. So yeah.
Well, what I would tell you is that sounds like what we call sour grapes.
Sour grapes? What do you mean by sour grapes?
It's an idiom.
No,
it's an idiom that means that those people are a little bit jealous of your talent and your ability. And so they're a little sour. They're a little sour about you. So that means that they're a little bit hard on you because you're talented, right? It happens a lot. This happens all over the place where sometimes somebody shows some special ability a little bit, right? A talent. And then a lot of people will be like, wow, he's so talented. But those same people, some of them will be a little bit bitter, a little sour about the fact that you seem to have so much talent. And whether they do it consciously or unconsciously, they sometimes harbor some negative feelings. They might pick on you a little bit more, like, oh, well, why did you say that? You made that silly mistake. They don't speak as well as you, so who are they to talk about it? So it's kind of weird that they would do that. But this happens a lot in language learning. The biggest critics in language learning are not the natives, it's the people around you. It's like not people from America who are saying like, oh, his English is terrible. No. Like, I don't like his English. It's bad. No, it's people from around you, the Chinese people who are saying like, oh man, he made one mistake. He's really bad. It's like it's so weird, but it's true all over the world. In the Middle East, it's also a big problem in the Middle East where same thing. The biggest critics are the people who are around you. And you're not a native, so why are you being such a critic to me? You don't speak perfectly either, so you shouldn't be so critical. It's weird. Like, this is where in music, there are two groups of people this way. Same thing, where there are some people in music who, if you're learning, but you really want to learn, then they support you and they're positive and they're like, yeah, keep going. You're going to get it. Don't worry. But then there are other people who, when you're learning, they're kind of putting you down as you're learning, right? And they don't want you to succeed. So what I would say is, in your case, I think that I would not worry about these are what we call little barking dogs. When you walk down the street, sometimes little dogs will bark at you, but you don't stop for every little barking dog, right? You keep walking, right? And so you're going to have some little barking dogs around you. You're going to have some people who are saying, you know, he's not good, he's bad, he's ha ha ha, he's, you know, whatever. You have to ignore them. And that will make you even more confident because you're able to ignore the little barking dogs. Just walk.
Yeah.
Right? And then what I would say is also small thing that you can do. When people learn a second language, they base that off their first language. But when people learn a third language, they base that off their first language. I think you should try to go back and try learning again, but don't learn from your base language, learn based on your secondary language. So what I mean is, you're studying French from Chinese. How about studying French from English? And that way you're studying both English and French at the same time.
That is that is a theory that I adopted when I learned the French many years ago. But right now, when I try to pick up my French, I always focus on French. I do not touch the English, because when you go deeper, when you go dive deeper,
Yeah.
so I think the English maybe have nothing to do with the French.
No, that would
you
be
have to
very
think in the
wrong.
French way.
Well, that's not true, though. Like, okay, so where does English come from?
From I think English, all those languages are from Latin, but I think French is maybe English is from the Israel people.
No,
From Israel.
so English began in England, but there was a group of people in England called the Anglos or the Angles, depending on who you look at, the way they spelled it, but the Anglos, right? That was one major group that was in England. That's where we get the word English from, is from Anglo, right? And the Anglos were there in England, and they mixed with some other groups that were in England, some local tribes that were like Celtic local tribes and stuff, right? And then there were three groups of people, and I always forget the third one. The Saxons, the Jutes, and there's a third one that I've forgotten now, but they were these groups they were called Germanic tribes. It wasn't Germany, because the country of Germany didn't really exist yet, but it was the Germanic area of Europe, right? And so they were in that area, and then they crossed over the English Channel and came to England. And then they mixed with the Anglos that were there, and that's where we get the Anglo-Saxons together, right? And then they did a lot of fighting and war with the Norse people, the Nordic peoples. That means the people in North Europe, like Norway, Finland, Sweden. But they didn't have Norway, Finland, Sweden yet. They didn't exist yet. That was the North, the northern countries, right? So that's why there was a lot of trade between there and fighting, and that's why there's a lot of influence of the Norse languages on English. And then the major empire of the time was the Roman Empire, and the Roman Empire used Latin as their base language, but the Roman Empire, they were huge admirers of the Greeks. They learned everything from the Greeks. So Latin has a lot of Greek influence, right? So 60% of English comes from Latin or Greek. And then over the next few hundred years, the English and the French fought a lot. They fought a lot. They traded a lot and they fought a lot. And when they fought, language got exchanged, culture got exchanged, right? So, for example, in 1066, that's the year of William the Conqueror came to England and conquered England. He was the French ruler, not French. He was Norman. Norman is like an early version of French, right? And he came and he conquered England, and so then that's when England changed and the language of England became French. England had two languages at the time. The rich people were French, so they spoke French. And the poor people, well, it was called Norman French, but it was early French. But the poor people spoke early English, Middle English, right? So that's the reason why, if you're a poor person, then do you eat a lot of meat?
Now?
No, I mean a long time ago. If you're a poor person, did you eat a lot of meat?
In China, in the past, like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, if a poor people, you cannot eat. You don't have money to buy meat in China.
Right,
in China.
exactly.
I mean, 20 years ago, 30 years ago.
Right, yeah, that's true all over the place. If you're poor, you probably don't eat a lot of meat, right? You don't eat the meat.
Yeah.
But you do take care of the animals. Right? You're the one who takes care of the animals, but you just don't eat them, right? So that's the reason why in English we have the word cow and we have the word pig. Those come from Old English. Those are Old English words, and that's why those are for the poor people. The poor people didn't eat the meat, they just took care of the animals, the pig and the cow. But the word beef and the word pork, those words come from French, because the French were that was the rich people. The rich people don't deal with the animal. No, they eat the meat. So the word beef comes from the French word boeuf.
Oui.
Yeah, oui.
Oh, and you also speak some French?
No. Only a little bit. Only a few words. You know, my mother taught me a few words when I was a kid. You know, I could just say merci beaucoup and s'il vous plaît and c'est la vie and you know, like I can say a few things. You know, comme c'est comme ça, like things like that. You know, I could just say a few words.
Are you far away from Louisiana?
I'm pretty far away. Yeah, I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio. So to go to, if I wanted to go to Louisiana or New Orleans, that would probably take me, I think, around 12 or 13 hours to drive there.
Wow. You have to take a plane.
Well, we like to drive because it's so fun to stop along the way and travel and see things. It's called a road trip. So when we plan a trip, we have a destination, but that's not the only destination. Along the way, we'll stop here and do this and then stop here and do that and stop here. And you see the country and it's fun. You drive and see the whole country. It's a beautiful thing.
So in your past, do you have many experience like driving more than 10 hours?
Oh, yeah. So wow. I live in Cincinnati and I used to perform in Chicago. That's about 5.5 hours away. That was easy. That was nothing. 5 hours is no big deal, you know? And then New York City, that's about 12 or 13 hours, maybe 14 hours if you're slow to drive there. I've done that. My sister lives up in Rhode Island. That's about 14 hours too. Driving to Miami, Florida, that's about 21 hours. And I've done that. Oh. And then driving to California, if I drove to Los Angeles, that's about 29 hours. And we only did that once when we were kids. We drove all the way across the country in a family vacation. And yeah, it was a long vacation.
Yeah, so you drive more than 20 hours or maybe 10 hours. I mean, the driving,
no,
energy and the gas, that is more expensive than the plane, yes, than the airplane.
Well, it depends on what year you're talking about. Like I said, through the years, sometimes maybe not. Maybe it's cheaper to drive. And again, it depends on what you want to do. So, for example, Mark, when I was a boy, I remember sometimes I'd be mad because my friend, we would have spring break, right? And for spring break, many people, they would go to the beach, right? So their family would fly to Florida or fly to North Carolina and they would go to the beach, right? But my family, we might go to the beach also, but we didn't fly, we would drive. And when we would drive there, along the way, we would stop and see other things. Like, for example, we would see a lot of historical things like Civil War monuments and historical places that my dad wanted us to see and learn about, or famous parks, right? Beautiful, beautiful parks and monuments that we should learn about and stuff. So when I was a kid, I hated it because I thought, I just want to go to the beach. But now I'm really happy that we did that because I learned so much more and I saw so much more. So yeah, I didn't get to the beach quicker. You're right. But I saw a lot more and I had a lot more valuable experiences, I think, because I saw the country and I saw the history and culture and not just a beach.
I've been to many cities in the U.S. and I also have many driving experience in Europe. I've been driving all across many nations, many countries in Europe.
Oh, okay.
I have achieved that dream already.
Oh,
but
great.
I haven't achieved the dream of driving dream of driving across China. Up to now, I haven't achieved that dream.
That'd be fun. That'd be cool. You should do that.
Not me. I think 99% of the Chinese people cannot achieve that dream.
That'd be really fun, though. That's why you should try. That's why you should do it, because you say nobody can. That's the only cool thing about the social media internet right now. The internet that we have right now, it's all about that. If you say people say you can't do it, that's what they want you to do.
I want to do that, but right now, my daughter is just around 3 years old. I want to give her some memory because if right now I'm taking her to that driving across China, she may not have that ability to memorize all the driving experience. So I want to take her with me when she's much older.
That's a little better. I think that's a good idea. Yeah, maybe wait till she's like, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 at least. And then like she can appreciate what she's seeing a little bit more. You could start traveling, not too far away. Not just close by. So just get it.
I've done that. I've done that a lot.
That's great. That's great. But again, Mark, I don't think you need to worry about your English. Your English is great. And if anybody is giving you trouble about your English, they're just little barking dogs, man. Okay? I can't hear any trouble with your English. I don't hear anything that's problematic. Okay? Like, if you've made any mistakes at all, they're not anything to care about and they're not anything that would make any difference.
So one last question before I let you go.
Sure.
So as we talk about the driving across our nations, when it comes to Americans, I think most of American family can take their kids driving across the U.S., yes? Most of the American parents can take their kids driving across.
Yes, and that's true. So what I would say is, right now gas is really expensive, so it's kind of like people don't want to drive as much right now because it's so expensive. But you're right. Put it this way, 60% of Americans don't have let me make sure I say this right. Hold on.
Home saving?
No, a passport.
Passport?
Americans with a passport numbers. Wait a minute. Let's see. About 51 to 54% of Americans currently have a valid passport. But that means about half of the country has a passport. But that doesn't mean they've used it. That just means they have it. Right?
Oh, you mean half of the U.S. people don't have the ability to buy air ticket to go out of the country?
Half the people don't have a passport at all. They haven't applied for one. They can get it, but they just haven't. They haven't tried to, right? Because they haven't wanted to leave. Like, that's the problem with Americans. Many Americans, they don't leave the country because it's so easy to travel here in the country, and the country's big. So you don't even think about going to another country. You just say, oh, we're going to travel to California, or we're going to go to Florida, or we're going to go to Texas, right? You go inside the country. So what I'm saying is most Americans actually don't have a lot of international travel experience, one. Two, most Americans, when they do travel, they just travel inside the United States.
Okay. Because and for these, I mean, most of the Chinese people always want to go abroad. They think, maybe I go abroad to another country. They think that it's once they go abroad, they maybe publicize their photos on the WeChat. Maybe they caught the other people's attention, and they think this kind of to show their maybe class division.
Well, I know what you mean, but let's put it this way, Mark. If we're having a problem with people showing class division on social media today, I don't think it's because of them showing travel. It's because of them showing money and jewelry and fast cars and expensive cars and huge houses. And, you know, that's the stuff that I think is a little bit more poisonous, toxic, you know. Travel, okay, yeah, some people, they're a little bit, you know the word bougie, Mark? Bougie. You should know this. Yeah, you should know this word, Mark. Bougie, it's short. It's an American slang term for bourgeoisie. And so bourgeoisie, originally it meant the middle class, but now the meaning is not middle class. It really means the rich people, right? When we talk about the bourgeoisie, we're talking about the aristocrats, the upper class, right? So when we say things are too bougie, that means it's like too rich, too much like the upper class, right? So you're right. There are some people who are traveling, and when they travel, they're doing it in the most luxurious and extravagant and kind of bougie way that like is kind of that's not an educational travel experience. That's a luxurious, extravagant, and what's the word? Gluttonous, gluttonous, ostentatious, and gluttonous. Yeah, gluttonous. To have gluttony means like you want too much of too many things, too much of good things all the time. That's gluttony. That is wrong. But Mark, one of my favorite quotes is from Mark Twain. Do you know Mark Twain?
Yeah. He's a great American famous great writer.
Yeah, and he has a quote about travel that I love. He says that travel is fatal to prejudice, bigotry, and narrow-mindedness, and many of our people need it sorely on these accounts. And then he says, broad, wholesome, and charitable views of men and things cannot be acquired by vegetating in one little corner of the earth all one's lifetime. So basically what he's saying is, if you just stay in your tiny little village your whole life and you never see the world, it's very likely that you will not develop a good view of the world because you've never seen the world. You don't know anything about the world, so you can't have a good view of it, right? But if you travel, then you see the world, you see different people, you see different cultures, you learn about things, and that kills prejudice, and that kills bigotry, and that kills narrow-mindedness. So travel is one of the best ways to learn is traveling.
Yeah, I do agree. I do agree on that. Yesterday I had a talk with my wife. I think it's better to live with the children a lot of money than not. It's better to take our kid, go outside, have a look, than live for a lot of money.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, 100%. Yes, definitely. Experiences have far more value than any currency. It doesn't matter whether it's the dollar, the yen, the renminbi, or gold. Experiences are priceless in that way. You know?
Yeah. So I hope the Chinese people, I mean, in the next maybe 20 years or next 15 years, I hope the Chinese people could live the life as American people does.
I don't want you to do that. Because we have our own problems too. Like there's some balance between the two, Mark. Really, that's the real truth of the matter is that if China and America were able to sit down and look at the two systems and say, well, what are you doing that's good, that works, and what are you doing that's good, that works, we could probably really talk about a lot of good things, and figure out some stuff like, hey, we have this problem over here, but if we just did what they do, it might fix it, and then same thing. You could do the same thing to us. We could do it to you. We could share ideas. How wonderful would that be? It would be wonderful, right? But, right now we have this idea that America is like this and China is like that, us and them, But what I'm trying to say, Mark, is I think a better idea, Mark, is I want everyone to consider the fact that 2,000 years ago, your world was a tiny little village, right? Like that's all you knew was just this tiny little village around you. And then 1,000 years, then it was a little bigger. It was a city or a city-state, right? A region. And then 500 years later, it's a little bigger. It's a nation, right? And then for the last 500 years or so, it's been nations as we've had them. A little less than that, actually, but still, it doesn't matter. But the point is that the perspective that humans have had of what it means to be in the world has changed over time. And it's grown from being like, oh, this is my world. I live in a village. That's all I know is just this little village. To now, where I live on planet Earth. So
Hey, where did you know that? 2,000 years ago, we were a village. 1,000 years ago, we were in a city, and 500 years ago, we were a nation.
Where did I learn that? Through history. I mean, I study history, but that's the way that our view of humanity, our view of the world, right? So I mean, like the average person. If you went back 2,000-3,000 years ago and you found the average person, their idea of the world would be only the little village they wake up in. They didn't travel. They didn't go anywhere. They didn't know anything. They barely could read. They barely could write. They didn't know anything.
I'm also a big fan. I'm also a learner of the history, especially our Chinese people's China's history. I think China, I mean, in the past, 1,000 years ago, we are so poor that people can even our own people cannot even feed our own people. It is because of the feudalism. The emperor
but the same thing.
greedy.
But again, the same thing happened in Europe. We had the same problem. Feudalism was a problem in Europe as well, and it was the same thing. The people didn't own anything, and they were poor, and they died poor because of feudalism. It was the same thing. So all I'm trying to say is history is human history, and humans live on Earth. And the sooner that we all start thinking about our perspective more as an Earth perspective, the better, because it all makes more sense when you do that. Nothing makes sense until you consider everything.
Yeah.
And if you're looking at only Chinese history and not thinking about anything else, then you're not considering everything, so it's not everything. If you're only looking at American history, you're not considering everything else. You don't understand everything. But if you consider global history, world history, then what I'm trying to learn is, okay, if this is what happened in in England in this year than what happened in China in this year and what happened in Argentina in the same year. Now my mind will start connecting in much more valuable ways to understand that information.
Yeah, and because I'm not I didn't have a membership here in this app, and maybe I don't have much time right now, so maybe a couple of minutes, I don't know. But right now the system is notifying me that I got to go. But I want to tell you, maybe everybody here in this meeting hall, that I up to now I have traveled more than 30 countries. I think right now the Chinese people's life maybe it's not as good as you, maybe it's not as good as European people, but I think we're much better than the nation like the Southeast Asia, in Africa, then the East Europe,
So
or maybe, also the South America.
as far as industrialization is concerned, yes, China has had an amazing last 50 years. The last 50 years of Chinese history has been incredible. I remember when I was a boy, I had a friend. He lived a couple houses down from me, and his mom was never there. And we were like, "Where's your mom?" And he's like, "Oh, she's in China." And we were like, "Whoa, what's she doing in China?" She was a professor, something like archaeology or something like that. And she was over in China. And that was completely crazy because that was like 1982. 1983, right? And so at that time, that was like, wow, that's really crazy. And that's weird. You're way over there in China. And we didn't know much about China back then, right? And then since then, wow, China has had this amazing explosion of technology and growth and culture. And it's been incredible. So yeah, I think China is growing in. It's almost like China is doing what we did. We had our moment like that from the 1950s on. That's when we had a big boom, a big burst where everything got better. In the 1950s, that's when we built our highway system. And then people started traveling across the country and a lot more work started happening and business started happening and jobs and companies and factories started happening. So we had this big boom from the 50s and 60s and 70s. And then we lost out again to Asia in the late 70s, early 80s. Japan came in and, Sony and Hitachi and Samsung and Honda and Hitachi, all these companies just, they had cheaper, better products than we did. And they killed us in the markets. So, but the point is, man, is history is, it's good to learn from. It's good to study from, but it's good that we all need to start considering it from a human perspective rather than a regional perspective. History,
regional?
Yeah, history is not regional. History is human.
What do you mean that history is human?
I mean,
human right now is a adjective or no?
It's an adjective.
Adjective. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it means that it is a thing of people. Okay.
Yeah.
And so history is a thing of people. That's what you have to think about. History is human, right? But region is just a region. That's just an area. That's not all of humans. That's not all of humanity. That's just a region of humanity. So history doesn't really make sense if you're only looking at a region. But if you look at history from the standpoint of humanity, now it makes sense. So we've been studying history we've all been studying history kind of the wrong way for a long time because we've all been studying history regionally. So you learn Chinese history and I learn American history. But that's weird because China and America are both on Earth.
But we don't have as a student, before college, when we were in junior, in the middle school or high school, we don't have enough time, we don't have enough energy to study the other country's history. We have to focus on our own.
Yeah, that's
unless
what
you have a special preference.
That's what they tell you. That's what they tell you, but I don't think that's true. I think they could teach both. I think they could teach a global history in a way that would be far more valuable, far more interesting too, and far more honest. Far more honest too, you know? So when we talk about who made what first, there shouldn't be an argument about that. I don't care who made it first. Do you know? Like it's so, you know, like so like for example, gunpowder. There's a perfect example. Who made gunpowder first? The Chinese did. Absolutely, the Chinese made gunpowder first. And we all agree about that in history now. But
that is common sense. When it comes to common sense, everybody knows the common sense who invented the gunpowder.
We know that now, but there was an argument about that for a long time, man. For a long time, there were people in the West who said, no, the Italians did it first. They had the, what was it called? The arboresque, I can't remember the name for it. There was an Italian name for this word, arbaletto, arbalesque. No, that was the French word. But yeah, there was an early gun in the 1500s in Europe, right? And they used to say that was the first gun. When I was a child, that's what I learned. I learned that was the first gun, was in Italy, not in China. So that's later we got an update, right? We talked to each other and we agreed, oh, no, look, actually it was made over here in China like 300 years before that, you know? But that was debated. Right? That was debated for many, many years. Now it's common sense. Now. But it wasn't common sense for a long time.
Okay.
That's how history works.
And by the way, Mark, so how often will you be here? What's the routine that will be in this app?
I'm usually here Monday through Friday. Right now, I'm usually here Monday through Friday. My schedule might change pretty soon in the future. It's probably going to be less than this. But right now I'm here Monday through Friday, and I usually start my streams around 9:30 or 10 in the morning my time, which would be 9:30 or 10 evening in China.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It'll be great. So it's really an honor and my pleasure to speak with you tonight for me. So yeah, I'm really happy tonight.
I'm glad to talk with you as well. And yeah, don't worry about your English at all.
Yeah. And so I think I took up much of your time, so I have to go. I'll let you go.
Okay, well, take care, my friend. I'll see you next time.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, here is my PDF file right here. This is my PDF file. If you want to know about me, then you can get it here. Okay? So, guys, all I'm trying to say is I don't think I'm saying anything that's very controversial, really. All I'm trying to say is I think that anybody will have a better sense of history if they learn all of it, instead of just learning your region. And yeah, I know they tell you that you don't have time to learn all the other history, but is that really true? Is that really true, or are they just trying to shape the way that you look at things? History has always been used to shape the way people see things. And all I'm saying is I see myself on Earth. I don't see myself in the United States. I see myself on Earth. I want to know Earth history. I like history. All of it. History is human. Oh, okay. All right, let's see. Gucci, why is it pronounced that way? Waleed, that's Italian. In Italian, they often have the C is often a ch sound. So, for example, Walid, in English, we have the word cello. A cello is an instrument, right? It's an instrument it looks almost like a violin. The violin is the one that you put on your shoulder. The cello is the one you put that's bigger, and it goes kind of between your legs when they play it, but it looks like a big violin. And it's spelled Cello, but it's pronounced cello because that's an Italian word. And in Italian, the C is often pronounced as a soft ch sound. Okay, so Gucci is Italian. Okay, let's see. Why do the letters change in pronunciation in some words and they sound different in some words? Walid, because again, that's because so many words come from so many different languages and each language pronounces things differently, right? So that is one thing that makes English a little bit difficult, right? You have some words like the word knife, which has a KN in the beginning of it, but now we pronounce it as knife. But the truth is, a long time ago, we did pronounce it as knife. It was knifer. That was the original way to pronounce it. And then you have words like kindergarten. That's German. And then you have words like ennui and champagne. Those are French words. Right? So the word, I remember when I was a boy, because my brother and I, wait a minute. When I was a boy, my brother and I, for New Year's. During New Year's, we celebrate and we drink what? What do we drink on New Year's in America for celebrating? Do you guys know what we drink? Not wine. Not eggnog. Champagne. Champagne. Yeah, but the word champagne is spelled Champangee. And when I was a boy, my brother and I, we used to, on New Year's Day, we would run around and we would like, champagne, champagne, champagne. They're drinking champagne. Because that's what it looks like to us. It looks like it should be pronounced champagne. Right? So what I'm saying is that English is a mix of languages, and that's why many words are pronounced in funny ways, and that's why many words have different pronunciation or silent pronunciation. Okay? Okay, let me make sure I didn't miss anybody over here. Good, I didn't. Okay, and thank you for the gifts, everyone. Right, the word cafe. The word cafe is from French, right? The word restaurant is from French. Okay. Why do Americans say New York City, but they don't say Los Angeles City? And why? Or what's okay? So that's hard to explain. That's just history, right? So every city was created at a different time, right? And so Los Angeles is called Los Angeles because that's Spanish. And that used to be a city that was part of Mexico. Mexico used to own Los Angeles. Los Angeles in Spanish, it means of angels. So it means the city of angels. The Angeles, angels. Okay, there are many cities in the West that are, San Diego. San means saint. Saint Diego, right? There's a lot of San words. San Francisco. That's Saint Francisco. Okay, it's named after the saint. Okay, they were Spanish names. They were Mexican cities. New York City. York is a city in England from a long time ago. Okay, so some people from the area of York, England, came to America and they decided we're going to call this area New York. So New York has the state of New York, but then they also have the city of New York. So that's why we say New York City, because we have two New Yorks. We have the New York State and we have the New York City. Okay? But American cities are named many, many different things. Chicago, that's a word that is from a Native American language. It means land of onions. I think is it the Chautauqua people? Wait a minute, let me find out. I can't remember. Chicago etymology. So Chicago is a French rendering of the indigenous Native American word that literally means wild onion or garlic, wild garlic. It's from Algonquin. Algonquin was the language there. And the word Illinois, that's French. Okay. There's the history of America is a mix of Spanish, French, English, and that's why many of our cities are named those things, or Native American as well. Okay? Do I do broadcasts? Yes, and I am doing one right now. I want to say we can also see the world through literature and poetry easier than we see through history. Rasha, I won't say easier than you see through history. What I'll say is that literature and poetry and culture are part of history. So when I study history, I don't just study the history books. No, I study the music, and I study the art, and I study the poetry, and the literature, the writing, the articles. I study all of it from that time period. So maybe we have a problem because we have a different meaning of history. When I'm talking about studying history, I'm talking about what happened in time. You're talking about a book. So when I study history, I'm studying what happened in time. The music, the culture, the language, the art, the poetry, the dancing, the fashion. That's history to me. You're studying a book that says history on the top of the book. That's why you're upset and you say, oh, history's not real. No, history is real. But history is knowledge of everything of the past. And when you have knowledge of as much as possible, then you have a better picture. Right? So if you only study history from one book, then your view of history is very small. But if you study history by learning about the time period, the people of the time period, the art, the culture, the traditions, everything, the language, all of it, that's when you'll get a bigger picture of what history really is. Okay? Do I follow the World Cup? I do not. Wyoming, that's also Native American, I think. Yeah. Wyoming is a word that comes from. There's a tribe called the Munsee tribe, and they have the word Wyoming means at the big river flat or at the large plains. That's what Wyoming means, and Wyoming is a big flat area mostly. You have a question about my setup, okay? Go ahead, hit me, Jermaine. Why do many Americans speak and learn Spanish too, Rena? Because Mexico is the next closest country to us that has a foreign language influence on us. Canada is above us, and they speak English mostly. There are some French speakers, but mostly English. Mexico is just below us, and they speak Spanish. So there's a heavy pressure from Spanish speaking Mexico. And we also have a large Spanish speaking population here because Mexico is close and because Central America is not far away. What mic am I using? So I am using a mic called the RE20. This one. But it is a directional mic. It's a very directional mic. So, like, put it this way. If I'm in front of it, I'm fine. Okay? But if I go like this, then look what happens to my voice, right? My voice drops off a lot. But one reason I like this microphone is because you can set it offset so that you're not talking directly into it, and it still picks up quite well. However, this mic is also very famous for having what's called a low gain structure, which means that if you look at my mixer, this microphone is the gain is all the way up and the volume is all the way up, literally as high as it can go. And then I still boosted the EQ on top of that. So anyway, this mic is a very famous broadcast microphone. It's one of the most popular microphones that you'll see on TV or in radio, right? I think this is the one that Howard Stern uses. This is the one that Rush Limbaugh used to use. This is the one that they use on, I don't know. There's too many to name. There's so many that you'll see this microphone. And there's a reason why. This mic has been around for decades and decades and decades. And it's a really good broadcast microphone. It gives you that broadcast voice. I do not have a broadcast voice. It's the microphone and the EQ and the compression. So if you want to know that little trick, then there's also a trick where I have my compression set really high, like almost all the way, and then I also have my low end boosted, like really goosed. You have the Rode NT1. You have a similar issue when using a mixer. Okay, yeah, the NT1 also has a pretty low gain structure. Yeah, but that's a good mic. You don't need to change mics. That's a great mic. There's nothing wrong with that mic. I have this microphone for two reasons. One, because I wanted a really good broadcast microphone for what I do. Two, because this microphone is also a famous drum microphone. It's really, really good for bass drum miking, among other things. And three, I also use it for my band when we record. So it was, I had multiple reasons to want to get a good one like this one. Why do Mexicans speak Spanish? Dina wants to know. That's because of history. Again, because of history. around the 1450s, 1490s, that's when many different exploration groups started leaving from Europe to travel over, searching for a way to the New World, right? So Columbus left in 1492, and so in that late 1490s, early 1500s period, there were different groups that were going over, and the Spanish were one of them, the Portuguese were one of them, the English were one of them, the French were one of them, right? So the French, where did the French go? The French went way north, up to Canada, and that's why they have French speakers in Canada. And where did the Spanish go? The Spanish went to Mexico and most of Central America and some of South America. And where did the Portuguese go? The Portuguese went to Brazil. So that's why they speak Portuguese in Brazil, because the Portuguese came from Portugal. And that's why they speak Spanish in most of Central and South America and in Mexico, is because of the Spanish Empire. How can you learn English easily? You can't. How many of you know that it's India that has its second largest English-speaking population after the U.S.? Rohan, I think probably a lot of I would probably guess that a lot of people do know that. India has a huge population. We all know that. India was colonized by Britain, so there are a large number of English speakers in India. But it's not as many as I thought. I've been on this app for a long time, and I've been talking to people in India for a long time, and certainly there are a lot of people who do speak English, but I was surprised that it wasn't more, actually. No worries, Jermaine. No worries, man. If you have any other questions, you can try to send me a message directly. Sometimes my messages get lost in the mix. There's too many messages and I just don't see it. But you can try and hopefully I will see it. All right, man? Can I please say my mic name again? Sure, it's the RE20, the Electro Voice RE20. You read a new book in the last few days, and it's called Sophie's World. Okay. What's it about? What about Africa, Martin wants to know? You mean, well, Africa didn't come colonize anywhere over here. Africa was colonized by Europe. In the 1800s, Africa was largely colonized by Italy and France and Germany and the Dutch, Netherlands, and so every country except Ethiopia became a colonized country of some other European nation, and then those became slave states that provided, not all of them, but many of them provided slave labor, where the labor that was used to make the New World possible. Without the slave labor, the New World would not be possible. Because it was too wild, it was too crazy, it was too different. There was too much work to be done, and you couldn't possibly get it done with just people, just working. It would not get done. So it's a sad, sad, sad fact of history that we had a period of time where slavery was I have thought about this so many times, and I've tried to imagine what would be a possible other option of how it could work without slavery. And it does. I imagine it would eventually work, just not for many, many, many more years. It would be a few hundred years later, maybe, that it would happen. So when you say, what about Africa? The people that are from Africa that were brought here, that wasn't their choice. They didn't choose to come here. They were brought here as slaves. And that's a terrible, terrible tragedy. But unfortunately, it's one that is just written in the record of history, and we have to recognize it and learn from it and recognize that it does not need to happen again. That it did happen once, and there may have been some argument to be made about whether or not it was necessary. I think it's a stupid argument, but there are people who do argue about that. But it doesn't matter now because it happened. So we have to accept that it happened and then learn from it, and then also accept that you can't step in the same river twice. So that means that history is history. It did happen, it's gone. So you can learn from it, but you still have to consider everything that's coming as new, right? So you have to learn from your past, but you still have to look toward your future with new eyes, right? Fresh eyes and wisdom. Okay? All right. Okay, Kamal Khan. I'm sorry if you have some problems, Kamal, but I can't help you with any of those problems. I don't know how to help you with those problems, Kamal. I'm an English teacher. That's all I do. I'm a drummer and an English teacher. Okay? I'm sorry. I hope you can figure it out, but I don't know how to help you. Okay, let's see. It's a novel that introduces the history of philosophy through a story. Ooh, that sounds cool. That sounds very cool. I'll have to check that out. You search the RE20, 50, 30. I don't know what's the... Let me see. Not quite that much. It might cost that much in China. It's not quite that much here. Renminbi, RMB is Chinese currency. Yeah. Yeah, it's about $500. Okay, Hadya, I don't know what you're referring to. I'm not sure what you're talking about when you say if you really believe that. I'm not sure what that is. But there is no religion talk here. There is no politics talk here. Okay, Hadya? How can you improve your grammar structure? Max, grammar is just a system. You have to know the system. You have to practice the system. So all you have to do to know grammar really well is just keep studying grammar. That's it. So there are many workbooks. If you're in the intermediate to upper intermediate area of grammar, then what you should be doing every single day is workbook exercises. Nothing but that. Just do lots and lots of exercises that practice the rules and the things that you're learning in intermediate to upper intermediate grammar. Just become familiar with them. Don't study the words of the rules. Don't memorize a past participle is a blah, 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 blah. No, just play with past participles until you know them, right? Just play with infinitives until you know them, okay? If, let's see, telling us something about, Kairov, I'm not sure what you mean. Kairov, I don't usually teach grammar here. I will answer a grammar question. If someone has a grammar question, then I will try to answer it, okay, as long as it's not too big. But I don't teach grammar classes because that's what I get paid for. So I can't, if I have some people who pay me, I can't do that same thing for free. So I will answer your grammar questions, but I don't teach grammar lessons unless you take private lessons with me. If you pay me and take private lessons with me, then of course. Yeah. All right. But I need you to understand, it's very simple, that I have students who pay me money to teach them grammar, and I do. But I can't expect them to pay me money, but then do the same thing for you for free here. Okay? But again, that just means that you just have to come up with the questions yourself. If you just come up with the questions, you can ask me and I'll answer. Okay? So you just have to treat me like I am AI. Treat me like I am ChatGPT. Challenge me. Ask me something and see what I'll say. That's exactly what I do with ChatGPT. So, yeah. I want you to think about me like I am an alien from another planet, but I studied English really well. So you want to ask the alien about English. That's interesting, right? See what the alien says. Can I recommend some good grammar books? I can. Indeed I can. One moment, let me find it for you. Basic English Book 1, right here. If you want the best basic English grammar book, it is right here. That is Basic English Grammar Book 1. And I also have... Where did it go? There it is. Basic English Grammar Book 2. I like both of these books. I have 60 or 70 grammar books, but I use those two more than any other. Okay? I have all the famous ones, all the most popular ones, but those two are better. All right, so there are a few grammar books. Now those are pretty basic. Those are not very advanced. Okay, but you just said grammar book. Ooh, I like that. Grammar is like an old car's transmission. If it runs well, there's no need to dig deep. At worst, this idea just sounds shallow. No, I kind of like that idea. I like that. That's actually, I don't know. I think that's useful. That means if the car gets you there, then it gets you there. Just be happy. You know? Sometimes you have a car that's not a nice car. It's an old car and it's beat up and you've had it forever and it was your mom's car or your dad's car. It was your dad's car and now it's your car. And it's very beat up and it's very old, but you love that car. And that car, it doesn't run perfectly. It doesn't run perfectly. It doesn't look great, but it does get you to work. It gets you there, right? And you like it. That's kind of like grammar. Where if you just need to get to work, then that's okay. You don't need to have the most perfect grammar. You just need something that gets you to your job. Do you understand? So what I tell people is language goes where you go. So if you become a professor in a college, right? Maybe you teach English literature, or you teach, college physics. If you are a professor in a university, then your language will be that level. But if you become a surfer, you become a surfer. That's your life. You surf. Then your language will become like a surfer. And if you become an electrician or a plumber or a mechanic, right? You work in a garage maybe, right? Then your language will be at that level where you need it to be. Where you need it to be. That's true for most people. Not all people. There are some people who their language and their ability of thought is not, what's the right word? Directly linked to their career or their work. There are some people who push further than their job requires of them. But in my experience, 90% of people, their language and their ability to think goes wherever their job is. Whatever it is that they do, whatever that job requires them to do, that's where their level of language is. And not many people decide to go beyond that. So, if you only need to just communicate, then you don't need perfect grammar. You just need something that gets you there. Language is not about perfection. Language is about expression and communication. Okay? It's not about saying the words the best way. It's about saying the words in a way that connects with people. Okay? But even to professors, it's difficult to use proper conversational English as you do. They can teach good in English, the subject they teach, but when it comes to conversational English, it's tough. If you're talking about foreign professors who are trying to speak in English, yes, but that's not what I was talking about. I'm talking about natives. I'm talking about natives. So, in any country, the language that you use is probably going to be around the same level as whatever job you have. That's my experience. You don't meet a whole bunch of people who work in a garage who use university level C1, C2 level language. Do you understand what I mean? Okay? So I'm not talking about non-natives. I'm talking about natives. Okay? And Kairav, have you gone to my website, Kairav? Have you gone to my website? Kairav, did you go to my website? Have you checked out and the content too? Okay, so everything that you're talking about is on my website. There are websites that have hypothetical grammar situations and examples to show you how each of these grammar rules are used in each of these situations. That's all there on the page that you just have to go do. So, Kairav, I hate to say this, but please listen because this is valuable. You just said it. Everybody's looking for the gunshot. Well, I have news for you. There is no gunshot, one. And two, I don't teach lazy people. So if you want me to do, here's why. I don't teach lazy people because it is an insult to me. It's an insult to me. Right? Now, let me explain why that's true. Now, I'm a drummer, Kairav. I'm a drummer. And many, many years ago, I took lessons with a drummer, a famous drummer. His name was Art Gore. His name is Art Gore, very famous jazz drummer. Okay? And Art he refused to teach me for many, many times. I would say, I think maybe 2 years. I went to go see him perform many, many times. And every time I would see him perform, I would ask him to please teach me lessons. And he said no. Every time he would say no. And I kept saying, please, I want to take lessons with you. And he said, so wait a minute, so you want me to take everything that I have learned over 50 years and you want me to just give it to you? Is that right? That's what he said. And suddenly I understood the insult that I had just done to him. So, Kairav, we respect people with knowledge because we know that it's not easy to get that knowledge. So I cannot make it easier for you to get that knowledge. The mountain is the mountain, okay? It's the same mountain for everyone. So you have to climb that mountain, Kairav. You have to climb that mountain. I cannot make it easier for you to climb the mountain. I can only teach you about the mountain, and then you must climb. Okay? Everybody's looking for a shortcut, but there are no shortcuts. There are no shortcuts. And here's what I will tell you, Kairav. I've been doing this for a long time, and many people, they come here and they say, how can I get there faster? So yesterday, they asked me, how can I get there faster, Teacher Mark? And next week, they will ask me, how can I get there faster, Teacher Mark? And next month, they will ask me, how can I get there faster, Teacher Mark? Next year, they will ask me, how can I get there faster, Teacher Mark? But do you know the one thing that they never do? They keep asking, how can I get there faster? But they don't do one simple thing. They don't start. They just keep looking for the shortcut. So sometimes you spend more time looking for the shortcut. But if you just started, you would have already been there. You would have already been done. But you keep asking, how can I get there faster? So, don't ask how you can get there faster. Just start. Just start. Okay? And I'm telling you, Kairav, everything that you wanted, it's all on the grammar page of my resources page on my website. Okay? Oh, man. What is this? It means we have to give enough time for things and that things need to happen. That's right, Kairav. Yeah, that's right. Just put one foot in front of the other and start. That's right. What about having the determination but being confused because of many sources? Well, Yusuf, if you're confused by many sources, that's only because probably you didn't organize your sources very well. Right? So when you have many sources, you're right, it could be bad if you don't have a good system or a good way to organize them. But if you do have a good way to organize them, then the more, the better. All right? So what I mean is, for example, Yusuf, I told you there are 8 parts of language, right? So reading, writing, listening, speaking, thinking, grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation. Those are the 8 parts. So let's look at reading. So what do you have for reading? What resources do you have? Do you have a book or books to help you with reading or to practice reading? Do you have an app to help you with reading or apps to help you with reading? And what level are they? Is it beginner, intermediate, advanced? Right? Do you have something that helps you with this aspect of reading or that aspect of reading? Something that helps you with the vocabulary of your reading? Right? So now I am thinking about reading, and then I'm thinking about how I can use those resources to practice various ways of reading. That's not confusing. That's organized. That's systematic. So you're right. If you just have a bunch of papers thrown on your desk, that's not good. But if your papers are organized, that's good. Okay? So the way I see it, Yusuf, is that if you only have one book, you'll probably get bored, and your understanding of everything will be very limited because you only studied from one thing. But if you have 20 books, and you have 20 apps, and you have 20 podcasts, and you have 20 live streams, and a couple of tutors, and a couple of friends, and if you have many, 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 many sources, then one, you will always have something to study. You'll always have something to do. You'll never feel like you don't have enough to do. That's good. You'll stay interested. You'll stay interested because maybe you'll study grammar for a little while, but it gets boring. So you take a break from grammar and you practice vocabulary for a little while or pronunciation for a little while, right? So doing different things can keep it interesting, right? And then it's systematic. So you can think about, if I want to work on my vocabulary, what materials and resources do I need to do that? All right? And the idea that you hear, maybe you read one book and you think, oh, I don't understand this in this grammar book. I don't understand the way they said past participles. I don't understand. But this second book, I understand the way they said it. That makes much more sense. I get it now. All right? Sometimes when you want to get somewhere, it actually is very valuable to listen to the directions of multiple people. So, yeah, you could just ask your dad, hey, Dad, how do I get there? And your dad can tell you, and that's good. But you could also say, ask your best friend, how do I get there? And maybe he has a different way to go. That's valuable too. That's all I'm telling you to do, is I'm just saying multiple sources can be valuable. You have to just have the discipline to use them. Okay? All right. I hate grammar too, and I'm an English teacher. But I'm going to help you, Asma. I'm going to change the way you think about grammar right now. This is one of my best tricks. This is a magic trick. I do only one magic trick, and this is it. Are you ready for my magic trick? I'm going to make you appreciate grammar. I won't say you'll like it, but I will say you will appreciate it. Okay, so listen to me. I'm going to tell you the story of grammar. Okay, so what is grammar? What is grammar? Everybody tell me. What is grammar? It makes some structure with speaking to make what we know we know what it means. Grammar is a way to organize language. Grammar is the rules you should follow, right? Okay, so that's what we think. Grammar means the rules that you should follow. That's what you think about now. It's the structure and the rules. But the word grammar is related to another word. Do you know this word? Glamour. What is glamour? To be glamorous. She is very glamorous. What does that mean? Charming. That's another good word we'll talk about later. What else? What does glamorous mean? Come on, guys, help me out here. Attractive, good. Okay, keep coming. Gorgeous, good. Okay, so glamour and grammar are related, and that's why they sound similar. The word glamorous, it means beautiful, attractive, and gorgeous. But why? But why? The reason why is because it's magic. So when you think someone is glamorous, it's like you're saying, wow, you're so beautiful, it's almost like someone put a spell on me. They put a spell on me to make me think you're beautiful. And when we say you are charming, that's what we mean too. A charm is a magical spell. And when we say, I'm enchanted to meet you, or he's very enchanting, enchanted, chant is also a spell, magic. So when we say someone is glamorous, we're saying they're so beautiful, it's almost like magic has affected me. When we say someone is charming, we're saying they're so impressive, it's like magic has affected me. When we say someone is enchanting, we're saying, wow, they're so amazing, it's almost like they put a spell on me. Okay, now let's go back to the word grammar. What does grammar really mean? The original meaning of the word grammar means secret knowledge. Secret knowledge. That's what grammar means originally. Why does it mean secret knowledge? Why does grammar mean secret knowledge? Anyone? Nazanin, you're pretty close. Because think about 2,000 years ago. 2,000 years ago, how many people could read and write? Very, very few. So that means that language was very powerful and it was kind of mystical. It was magical. So if you see a book and you open that book and it has a bunch of writing on it, but you don't know what that means. You don't know those are letters. You don't know that's a language. You just see all these things written on the paper. What do you think that is? Not a painting, no. It's a good guess. If you see something and you don't recognize it, you don't know what it is, but people can read it, people look at it and they understand it, but you don't understand it. They seem to understand these things on the paper, but you don't understand. It looks like magic. Yeah, it looks like magic. Yeah. So, this gets better. Please stay with me. So that's why the word grammar means secret knowledge, because a long time ago, not everybody could read and write. And if you could read and write, that was power. How do you have laws if you don't write them down? You can't have a law unless you write it down. And if you cannot write, then you cannot make the laws. So you have the power. Okay? So the word grammar is related to the word glamour. And there's another word. Do you know this word? Grimoire. It's pronounced grimoire. Grimoire, a grimoire. It's not a common word. It's not a common word. It's a word. It means a book of magic. A magic book is a grimoire. Okay? And so the word grimoire is related to the word glamour, which is related to the word grammar, because grammar was secret knowledge that not everyone had. And if you don't have that knowledge, it looks like magic. It looks like magic. It looks like witchcraft. Yes, now it gets better. It gets better. The word magic. Where do we get the word magic from? Do you guys know where the word magic comes from? If you're Iranian, you should know. Not Latin. Not Romania. So the word magic, it actually comes from the Bible. In the Bible, the story of Jesus being born. Jesus was born in Bethlehem, right? And when Jesus was born in Bethlehem, who were the first people to come visit him? There were 3 people who came to visit from far away. The priests, right. And what were they called in the Bible? Do you know what they were called? They were called the Magi. Because in ancient Persia, there was one group of people, a class of people. They were the priests. They were the priest class of people. And they were called the Magi. And it was the 3 kings, the 3 Magi, who traveled from faraway Persia to Bethlehem to recognize the king. In the Zoroastrian religion, they were following their religion. They had a prophecy that said that they should travel to see this new king. That was their prophecy in their religion. But it matched up with the prophecy of Christian religion that there was a king that was born under the new star, right? The Star of Bethlehem or whatever, right? And so the word magic comes from the Magi, who were the Persian priest class that traveled from Persia to recognize Jesus as the Lord, right? And the word magic, why do we think magic is scary? Because the priest class wore these robes and they did magic things. They did things that they didn't recognize, right? So think about it. If you see a group of people and they have a bunch of crazy clothes on and they're speaking in a language that you don't know, what does that look like to you? Scary. But that's what's so funny. The word magic comes from it was just a group of people that had their own religion and their own rituals and their own language. And so we're afraid of magic only because it's different, only because it's new, only because we don't understand. And that is the power of grammar, because grammar is the power of language. So, can you speak English without great grammar? Yes, you can. If you speak English without grammar, people will understand you. Yes. But if you have great grammar, grammar is the magic of language. Grammar is what makes your words turn into a magical spell that people will want to listen to. Because your words are so good, they're like magic. Grammar. So, I hate grammar. I hate grammar, but now I have a new respect for grammar because I look at grammar like magic. I think about it like this. Of course magic is hard. Magic is really hard. Of course it's hard. Not everybody can do magic. Not everyone can do magic. Right? So now it makes me feel like, oh, grammar is hard. Grammar is hard, but it's worth studying. Because if you study grammar well, then your words have more magic. Okay? If you study grammar more, then your words have more power. So, I don't like grammar either, and I'm an English teacher. But grammar is related to glamour, which is related to grimoire, which is related to the word magic, which comes from the Magi. Okay? So the word magic and the idea that magic is scary, that's just because you saw some people that you didn't know where they were from and they spoke a different language that you didn't understand, and that made you scared. But maybe what they were doing was not really that scary. Okay, let's see. My body gestures are more powerful in this case. It's all of it. Language is a performance. So, it's a combination of many things. That's why the Greeks studied language like a performance. So they studied language from a standpoint of logic and philosophy, but they also studied language from a standpoint of rhetoric and performance. So they studied things like how to project your voice and enunciate and to pronounce things clearly, right? And body language, right? And there's dynamics, there's louds and softs, and there's tempo, there's the speed and rhythm. All of these things go into language and the magic of language. But grammar is a big part of it. Grammar is a big part of it. Okay? And yes, grammar is hard, I think. So that's what I said. That's my one magic trick. My one magic trick is that I can tell you that story, and that story usually does a pretty good job of making you feel a little bit differently about grammar. That you'll consider grammar in a different way. That you'll understand the value of grammar and the power of grammar. And that's why you should push yourself more. Just because it's hard. But by the way, why is it so hard? Why is English grammar so hard? And don't tell me it's not. It is. Why is English grammar hard? This is also true throughout all history. If you make something easy, then it loses its value and it loses its power. So there are many things in English that I could explain in a much more simple way. I could change the rules of English and make it more simple and easy to understand. But they won't, because they don't want to make it easy. They don't want to give up their power. That's true. I'm not joking. That, in my opinion, English language absolutely could be updated a bit and make it much simpler, because it is now an international language, but we still teach it like a national language. That doesn't work. But they won't do that because they don't want to give away that power. So, for example, in English grammar, we learn the word, we learn present perfect tense. We learn present perfect tense, right? What does that mean? What is perfect? When I say it's perfect, what does that mean? Kame says perfect means easy. Susu says it means I did well. It means flawless. So that's the problem. The word perfect has two meanings. There are two meanings for the word perfect. Okay? The modern meaning of the word perfect means great, wonderful, without flaw, without any mistakes. It's perfect. Okay? But the word perfect has another meaning. It's in Latin. The word perfect in English comes from the Latin word perfectum. And in Latin, the word perfectum means completed, finished, done. Perfect means completed or finished or done in grammar. So when they say present perfect, they mean present completed. And if I say present completed, that makes more sense to you, doesn't it? That's what I mean. That's what I mean. That's an easy thing. They could change that tomorrow. They could change that and say, hey, let's change this and stop calling it present perfect, because that word perfect, it's a little confusing for some people. Let's just call it present completed, because that makes perfect sense. Oh, it's in the present, but it's something that I've already completed. That makes more sense. Right? That's an update that they could do, but they don't do. Right? Because they don't want to make it easy. They don't want to make it easy because language is power. Language is power, everyone. Remember, I said that? Language is power. Right? So, do we all understand the magic of grammar now? Are you impressed by grammar now? Grammar and glamour and grimoire and magic and chant and charm and enchanting. There are many, many words in the English language that come from magic. Many, many words that come from magic. How did they turn language into power? Well, when you know language, then you have power. So if you have 10 people and 4 of them can write and read and 6 of them cannot, then who has the power? The 4 people who can write and read. They're the ones who can write down the laws. They're the ones who could write down the rules. They're the ones who can write down their ideas. And they don't have to write down your ideas. You can't write and read. What do you know? You don't know the difference. You can't read it anyway. Do you understand that? Like 1,000 years ago, most people, you couldn't read the laws anyway. Like, the law is there, but you can't read it. So how can you understand it? Right? I mean, sure, someone can explain it to you, and that happened. But they didn't understand the real details, and that got them in trouble a lot. That's the language power, right? So, for example, let me think of a good example. Hold on. So, let's say that you are a peasant, a poor person, and you live on the king's land, and you go hunting. You go hunting. Are you allowed to hunt anytime you want and anywhere you want? No, that's right. So you can only hunt in some places, and you only can hunt in some times, right? That's the king's land. You have to get permission from the king. So maybe there's a rule, and the law says that you can only hunt on the eastern side of the kingdom on the weekend, on Fridays and Saturdays and Sundays or something like that, right? Let's say that. But you don't have a calendar, and you don't know what day it is because you don't keep track. And you don't read the rules, so you don't know that it's allowed to be on this date or on that date. And you can't read the signs. So if this says this is the eastern property and this says this is the western property, you don't know anyway because you can't read. So the king could just say, I don't like that guy. I don't like that guy. So we're going to make him go to jail. We're going to say he broke the law. He was hunting on my property when he shouldn't have been. And maybe he'll say, no, I didn't know. I didn't know. And you'll say, well, that's too bad you didn't know. That's the law. It's unfortunate that you didn't know. That's power. Language, laws, power. There are a lot of ways that language is power. All right? That's right. If you send a message in a cafe but you can't read it, then you can't meet. That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah. Sachin says, whenever you're teaching English language feels simple, other times it's challenging for me. It's supposed to feel challenging. Learning is challenging. Learning is growth. Growth is challenging. So learning is like a plant. When a plant has to grow, it has to come out of the ground. It has to come up out of the ground, and it has to seek out the light, and it has to endure the wind going back and forth and the rain, pelting onto it, right? So it has to reach up to the sunlight. That is learning. It's supposed to be hard. It's supposed to be difficult. It's supposed to be a challenge. If it's not a challenge, you're not learning. The pen is mightier than the sword. Indeed, right. There's a good example right there. That's language is power, right? So if you're in the army, that's great, but who controls the army? The people who can write and read. Right? Yeah. All right, let's see. Not working. What's the story of that phrase, the pen is mightier than the sword? I think I remember, but I always like to check. Edward Bulwer Lytton. Richelieu. The Conspiracy. So there was a play in 1839. There was an English play by a guy named Edward Bulwer Lytton. Or Lytton, I'm not sure. I think it's Lytton. And in this play, there's a plot to kill the king. Oh, no. Wait. Cardinal Richelieu is the minister of the king of France. No, so there's a plot to kill him. There's a plot to kill this guy, right? The priest. But because he's a priest, he's not allowed to fight back. He's not allowed to take up a sword and fight back because he's a priest. He's a man of God. So that his solution, he reminds him that he commands other weapons. He says, "True this, beneath the rule of men entirely great, the pen is mightier than the sword. Behold the arch enchanter's wand, itself a nothing, but taking sorcery from the master hand. Take away the sword, states can be saved without it." So what he means is that the wand. A wand is like a magical, stick, right? When you cast a spell. But the wand doesn't have the magic. It's the words. Language is power. Language is power. That's what he's saying. So what he's saying is that a wand has no power. It's the words that you use to make the wand have power, a magical spell. Right? So the pen is mightier than the sword, that we can cast laws that will prevent you from doing what you do, or we can write the history to paint things in a way that nobody else knows your story. They only know mine. That's called a narrative. Okay? All right. Wow, 3 hours and 15 minutes. Holy Moses, I went too long today. Wow, too long. Wow, too long. Okay, let me see. I think I'm going to try to just wrap up with just one more question here. Did my microphone break out? Is my mic okay? Why does it sound funny? Oh, okay, it's all right. All right, good. All right, do I have any last questions here? But what if it feels like the challenge is not ending even after trying hard, Robin says. Robin, some challenges never end, man, and some of those challenges are the greatest challenges in life. So, for example, I always say the same example. Music. Music is a challenge that never ends. So no one is ever finished with music. You always work to be better in music. There's no finish. Any instrument. Right? So it's better to think about it just like a musician. So let's think about it like a musician. A musician has a song, right? Like the song Thierry Elise, right? Right? Everybody knows that song. But the first time you play that song, if you learn it, it doesn't sound good. It sounds bad. Right? It's all bad because you don't know what you're doing. But you keep working on it. Every day you try to listen and make it sound better. Every day you try to listen and make it sound better. Every day you try to listen and practice and make it sound better. And that is exactly what you do with language. And there is no end. Every day you wake up and listen and practice and try to make it sound better. Okay? So just like I tell my musical students, I tell them every day, try to be more musical. When you're a musician, you try to be more musical every day. And as a language learner, every day I want you to try to be more musical with your language. Make it sound better every day. All right? Wow, man, that was so long. I am beat. All right. Please save your questions if you have more questions and come back next time. Come back tomorrow. Tomorrow, what time do I have tomorrow? Let me see. Do I have time to... Wait a minute. Let me check my schedule here at 4. Okay. I think I have time for a live stream tomorrow, so I should be here tomorrow. So come back and see me again tomorrow. All right? Wow, man, my brain just went like, phew. All right. Thank you guys for watching. Oh, before I go, I'm sorry. Before I go, here is all my information. If you want to follow me, then everything you need to know about me is right here. Everything you need to know about me is in this file, this PDF file right here. So my live streaming schedule is in there. My website, my YouTube, my blog, it's in there. There are 4 great articles for you in that file. So copy that link and paste it to your browser. Copy that link and paste it to your browser. Copy that link and paste it to your browser. Okay? And open it and read the file. Okay? It's Oksana, the time and schedule is in my file. Okay, so get the file. Get the file, get the file, get the file. All right? And just so you know, the way this works is very simple. I want you to treat me like I am like ChatGPT. Okay, so treat me like I am the alien that learned English. Okay, I am an alien who learned English, and now you can come ask the alien questions about English. All right, that's fun, isn't it? All right, so come ask the alien your questions. All right, guys, I have to go. I'm starving. Have a good morning, have a good afternoon, have a good evening wherever you live in this world. And come back and see me tomorrow. Okay? Bye.